Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Behind the Grind. So, as you guys already know, I've recently been trying out other Warhammer games after somewhat leaving Space Marine 2 a couple of weeks ago, and I've been playing a lot of different games here and there set within the Warhammer universe. And well, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the original Space Marine 1, however, remastered for newer generations. So, pretty odd, I know, that I never played the original Space Marine, but today we're going to be taking a look at Warhammer 40k Space Marine Mastercrafted Edition. When it was first revealed that this game would be getting a remaster, I got pretty excited because, like I just mentioned, I never really played this game growing up. Warhammer was just one of those things that I knew about when growing up, however, I just really never got into it. I never really had a game that got me into Warhammer 40k, so with the release of Space Marine 2, I finally got into the franchise, and well, that has kind of opened up the gates for me to try out all of the games within the actual franchise. So, let's just go ahead and talk about some Warhammer 40k Space Marine 1 Remastered. Before we begin, I want to ask you to please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Also, let's take a moment to thank our channel members for supporting the Behind the Grind YouTube channel. Joining will give you access to some cool perks like adding me as a friend and playing some games together. Your help means a lot, and if you're interested in being a channel member, check out the information in the description down below. Thank you. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about some Space Marine 1 Remastered. So, as you guys already know, this is the beginning to Titus's story back when he was the captain of the second company in the Ultramarines chapter of the Imperium of Man. And so, let's go ahead and talk about campaign for a little bit. So, in the Liberation of Gaia campaign, we play as Captain Titus, and well, there's some secret forces of chaos that have unfortunately been taking place on this world, all the while a huge invasion of a orc is going on. So it's pretty fun to fight all these goddamn orcs, and let me just go ahead and get this right out of the way. These orcs are friggin' badass to fight against, man. Like, this campaign was a blast from start to end, and I really do think that the orcs had a big part to play in that. It's quite the shame that the orcs never came back for Space Marine 2. I will be making a video talking about that at a different time, but part of the reason that this campaign is so good is the orcs in and of themselves, and towards the end of the campaign, we even get to fight some forces of chaos. Granted, it's not an actual chaos, like, main faction, however, it's one of the chaos warbands known as the Chosen of Nemeroth, and while they employ the bloodletters from the Demons of Khorne, and they have some Chaos Space Marines and even some Traitor Astra Militarum, and they're also pretty fun to fight. They're a lot more fun to fight than the Thousand Suns in Space Marine 2, I'll give you that. So already off the bat, we have a pretty good gameplay loop when it comes to the enemies that we fight, and while speaking of gameplay, yeah, it's clunky. It's for its time, it's clunky. You know, it's starting to age a little bit, but there's a little bit of cheese and just like enjoyment to find in some of these clunkier old games from the old days, because this was an originally PS3 and Xbox 360 game, and while it kind of shows its age when it comes to gameplay, but it still feels good to play nowadays, you know? So like, you guys already know me, I was a huge fan of Gears of War. I grew up playing Gears of War, so naturally Space Marine and even Space Marine 2 just came to me, and the gameplay just makes sense to me. Like, I've always enjoyed these over-the-shoulder third-person action shooters, so the gameplay in and of itself is good. All the enemies are fun to kill, all the weapons are fun to use to kill the enemies, and overall the campaign story and the larger narrative at play is just really good from start to finish. So I recommend the game solely on the story mode if you guys want to go ahead and check it out. It's pretty cool that Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun also references this story if you guys have ever played that game. Malam Kato from time to time references the work of Captain Titus, and that game even takes place on this Forge world of Gaia. So yeah, nice little shout out to Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun as well. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and just give some minor words about PvP and Exterminatus, the Horde mode for this game. I'm only bringing these up briefly because I will be making a separate video on each of those game modes, but PvP in this game is pretty goddamn fun when you can get a lobby together to play it. Sure, this is a remastered game and not as many people are playing this game as compared to like Space Marine 2 or something else, but from time to time when you can actually fill up a lobby, the PvP in this game is timeless, dude. It's crazy to me that a PvP mode from 14 years ago is able to outshine Space Marine 2, but that's all I have to say about PvP for now. Stay tuned for a video focusing on PvP in the future. Next up, Exterminatus is this game's horde mode, and just like PvP, I'm just going to give a couple of words to say here. This is non-stop action fun, dude. Like, the thing with Space Marine 2 is that Siege mode, you just have all these downtimes of enemies not spawning and a lot of time to recover. Fuck no. In Space Marine 1, you get 0 time to recover, bro. Like, after each wave, the next wave just immediately starts. This horde mode is definitely non-stop action and is really goddamn good, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about this in a separate video. But moving on, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the technical issues with this game when it first released. So when this game first dropped, I got it on Xbox Game Pass, and just gonna say this, on PC the launch was absolutely terrible, dude. Like, my game was crashing all the goddamn time. I initially started playing this game, and due to the crashes, it kind of made me quit for a little while. I only went back to finish this game a couple of days before recording this video, and safe to say that the crashes are no longer present. So the technical state in which this game was shipped in terms of crashing and bugs was pretty goddamn bad. However, when it comes to performance, it's always been pretty goddamn good. I will say that with the upgraded graphics and the increased visual fidelity and the stable 60 frames per second really does bring out that really tight gameplay that this game really has, and it's a wonder to play through. It looks good, it plays good, all the while retaining that classic look of OG Warhammer 40k, which I really like because, like I mentioned prior, I'm kind of a newbie when it comes to Warhammer 40k, but there's something about that old Warhammer 40k cheese that I was really able to get from this game, whether it's the classic Space Marine armor of the Firstborn or the orcs, which are kind of more OG. You don't really see much of the orcs nowadays in modern day 40k. I just love playing through all of this, dude, and it was quite a joy from start to finish. I will say, however, that when it comes to the game state as a remaster, I probably would have preferred a full-blown remake to maintain continuity with Space Marine 2. To an extent, it kind of feels like this remaster was only made to capitalize off of the success of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, and it kind of shows. The game is 14 years old. Sure, the remaster is nice, but a remaster is one of those things that you release to the next generation of consoles, so this is a remaster that probably should have released on PS4 and Xbox One, and not necessarily on Xbox Series X and PC, because this game, as you guys already know, does not have a PS5 port. I would have preferred a full-blown remake. However, just having that OG Warhammer 40k classic look and feel does maintain some of that charm. I will say, however, one minor nitpick that kind of started to bug me the longer I played this game that I don't understand why they did not do was recast Captain Titus in order to maintain that continuity with Space Marine 2. They kept all of his original voice lines, and me personally, I probably would have had the guy from Space Marine 2 come in to do all the voice lines, just so that way they actually feel like the same character, because I don't know, you guys let me know in the comment section down below, if you played Space Marine 1 after playing Space Marine 2, do Captain Titus and Lieutenant Titus feel like the same guy to you? I know they had that kind of long period of trauma in between both games, however, this doesn't necessarily feel like the same person to me, and I feel like that voice acting really had a lot to do with it. But other than that, there's quite a lot to do in this game. The PvP is fun and engaging. There's a lot of stuff to unlock in that. The Exterminatus is non-stop action from start to finish, and the campaign tells a pretty good story, man, and it's timeless. It's a timeless classic, I will say that. So, if you do have Game Pass, go ahead and get it. It is free on Game Pass, and if not, I'd say go ahead and pick it up on Steam once it goes on sale. This is a game that I think everybody should try. If they are like me and they only played Space Marine 2, it's definitely worth a try to go back and play the original, because there's just something about this game that in some ways feels better than Space Marine 2, and there's a lot here to enjoy, and it's got that classic Warhammer 40k charm. So with all that being said, what do you think about Warhammer 40k Space Marine Mastercrafted Edition? I personally liked it a lot. However, should I go ahead and try the original? I know the original has some different things in the game that were changed in Mastercrafted Edition, like the orcs being a different warband and other quality of life things, so I might actually go ahead and check out Space Marine 1 OG. Other than that, that's all I got for the video. If you enjoyed, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel for more content. Also, if you wish to support the channel further, I'd encourage you to join the channel membership for exclusive perks. Thanks! This has been Behind the Grind, enjoying the fuck out of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 1, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!